Okay, so tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Um, okay, I have 3 kids. We have a 12-week-old puppy too.
Oh,
So that yeah, that's new.
brave. A whole
Yeah.
new world.
And I've been married 8 years,
Oh.
and this is my I've always had a passion for singing. I used to sing when I was little with my grandparents. I would get up when I was like 3 or 4. I would get up in front of the church. I did not care how many people. I would just sing.
Mm.
I loved it. But over the years, I got discouraged, and I felt like I didn't sound good, and people would say, no, you don't need to do this or you need to do that, and so I would just stop. And so recently, I did a video, and people heard it, and they were like, Joy, we really like your voice. You can really sing, and I'm like, whoa, really? So it really woke that passion up in me, and so that's why I've been looking and trying to find something to help me to see if I could really take it to the next level, if possible.
Okay, so I don't know how far in the material, like the stuff I have all over the place that you've been, but
Mhm,
everybody, well, here's the caveat.
mhm.
2% of the living population cannot learn to sing well. Those 2% are medically tone deaf.
Okay.
You are not.
Okay.
If you're medically tone deaf, you'd know it.
Right.
I mean, a lot
Mm.
of people say I'm tone deaf. It's not. It's just,
Mhm.
it's an imbalance in the muscles that control the vocal cords.
Mhm.
And because they're uncoordinated, it's like Bambi on ice.
Okay.
And then they
Mhm.
don't want to get on ice
Right.
because it's a disaster.
Mhm.
But Bambi eventually learned to stand. I don't know. I didn't see that far in the movie. But I need another illustration. But that's why people say I can't.
Mhm.
And then there's so much misinformation and well-meaning bad information out there.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
people think, well, if I don't sound like such and such a person,
Mhm.
or I can't do this like that person does, well, I
Mhm.
must not be any good.
Right.
And I struggled with it. I traveled with my sisters. We were 4, 5, and 6, and
Mhm.
I was taught to harmonize. A lot of this stuff I was just taught to do. It's not that I was so incredibly talented. I was just taught to do it, and just always
Mhm.
did. And I started singing in the studio when I was 15, and then I just started doing other things. But the entire time, I was a paid professional singer for most of my life,
Mhm.
starting at 15.
Mhm.
But I struggled so much, which is one of the reasons that I really have a passion for helping singers. I always
Mhm.
struggled. I was getting paid to sing, and I always felt like I should stop taking people's money because I couldn't sing like this person or that person, and I
Mhm.
must not be very good, and I should just stop lying to the world and stop taking people's money.
Wow.
And so
Mhm.
it really drove me to try to find solutions to the problems I had in my voice because I felt like, look, I have two options. People keep hiring me.
Mhm.
Do I want to work as a singer? Yes, I love it.
Right.
Well, then I owe it to them to get this figured out because every
Mm.
once in a while I do some big thing, some big 12-piece band, and they hire, you're for hire, so not always the same musicians, not always the same singers, and every once in a while, especially if there were a female singer that they'd bring on, every once in a while they would do something and I would think that was really cool. And
Mhm.
I'm a this is you get what you ask for kind of person. This is just who I am. And
Mhm.
so I'm not above asking questions. I love asking questions. I love being
Right.
asked questions. I would
Mhm.
always go up to them and I'd say, when you did that thing in that song, how did you do that?
Mhm.
And there's like, I guess you're not supposed to ask questions. And they'd be like, I don't know. I'd
Mhm.
be like, well, was it hard when you did that? No. Well, how is it so easy for you? And they'd be like,
Mhm.
I don't know. I was just born that way. And then I felt like an idiot.
Right.
Well, I wasn't born that way. So maybe I
Mhm.
should pack it up and go home. But let me
Oh.
collect my check first. Okay? So that's really what drove me to find the solutions for my voice. There's a whole long
Mhm.
story I won't go into. It's on the web someplace. Anyway, so we're gonna give everybody a little peek inside, kind of what happens when I assess a voice and I answer vocal questions,
Okay.
and we're gonna work you through that. So I got you talking not only because I want to get to know a little bit about you and where you come from, get an idea of your personality, but in the time that you were talking, I did an assessment of what your vocals were doing.
Oh, really? Okay.
I know what your voice is capable of doing by hearing your speaking voice.
Mm. Okay.
So I've been told not to do that. It's my white girl head bob. Okay, so favorite kind of music to sing is?
Well, my favorite,
Mm-hmm.
I love gospel.
Mm,
I love gospel.
me
But
too.
then next is like R&B. But yeah, I love gospel.
You see, you got soul. You sent me that little sample, and when you sent me those little samples that I asked you to send me, you were singing pretty quiet. So were you singing in a place where you thought people were going to overhear you?
Actually, that's something that my husband has been trying to figure out. He tells me it seemed like I'm holding back. It seemed like I can push more, but I'm not allowing myself to do it. But to me, I'm trying, but that's what's coming out. It's just like that little whisper.
Okay, I'm going to tell you why today. We're going to answer all of the deepest mysteries of Jody's voice. Well,
Okay.
maybe not the deepest. We'll get the surface mysteries. How about that? Okay. So, yeah, this is going to be fun. Okay, so the deal that I made with you is that I'm going to run you through this stuff, but you can't hold back.
Okay.
And the stuff that you sing with me for me.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Okay.
a couple different reasons that you're holding back. One is psychological because you're not sure you sound good,
Mm-hmm.
which, like I just told you, we all have that issue.
Mm-hmm.
And when I find the singers that I worked with a long time, and it just depends on the personality. If I can get them to talk to me at all about their insecurities, which doesn't exist in professionals, whatever, they all do.
Yeah.
Everybody has that.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. So
Okay.
that's an issue for all of us at some
Okay.
level, at some time, all the time for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other reason is because your voice isn't sure how to get there.
Right.
So
Okay.
it backs off because it's trying to keep you safe from embarrassment.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So this is your only warning you're going to get from me. I am going to ask you to do things that sound awful.
Okay.
I am doing them to make you fail.
Okay.
Because in making you fail, I gather information.
Okay.
So the quicker you let yourself fail,
Mm-hmm.
the quicker we move on to other stuff.
Okay.
Okay? So this should be fun. So this is really, really hard. I wish someone had told me this early on. Oh, no, I'm trying to make you fail. I'd be like, oh, I could do that. I just spent 20 minutes trying to sound good and trying to disguise it, right? So I just come up front and say, trying to make you fail.
Okay.
Just do what I ask. I'm going to give you some specific direction on some specific notes, and just keep doing it. And when you're hating me and you're saying, really, we're not done with this yet, that means you haven't failed enough yet.
Okay.
Okay? So just
Okay.
fail. Okay. Do you perceive yourself as having a low voice or a high voice?
Really? I would say mid. Like medium.
Okay. You find it more difficult to sing low notes or high notes?
High notes.
Okay. I'm going to have you sing a ah, and go ahead and repeat that whenever you're ready. Good. Okay. So, ah. All of
Okay.
those notes. Just all of them. Just kidding. Just messing with you.
Okay. Wait. Okay, do it one more time.
Okay. So, would you like to ask questions? Have me answer your questions, or you want me just to tell you what's going on?
You can just tell me.
Ah, okay. Straight shooter. I like that. I like that about you, Jody. I knew I'd like you. Okay. So, you're right. The middle notes are easiest. Your voice does not want to release to high notes, and it doesn't want to go down to low. It doesn't want to release to the low notes either.
Uh-huh.
The reason is, you've got it all in you. When you speak, You got a nice low man voice like
Right.
me, right?
Right.
And you how old are your kids?
8, 3, and 11 months.
Okay, you lack no power in telling your 8-year-old to clean up his or her room.
Right.
Do
Nope.
you?
No.
Yeah, I can tell by talking to you, right? Me either. I got 4 kids. I'm good at it.
Yeah.
They're almost all grown. I can still really take it down with the best of the moms. Okay, so you have a natural power in your speaking voice, and so there are elements of a balanced voice. So if we take a natural born singer, that, or what we perceive to be, oh my gosh, they were just born that way, one of those. By the way, it's my opinion after years and years and years and all my experience, my opinion that a good chunk of those natural born singers weren't natural born, but that it was a learned process. They just learned, like if you learn 5 languages before you're 5,
right.
You'd be like, I don't know, I just always spoke French, right?
Right.
Yeah, you don't know, you don't remember. But when we grow up, especially those that grow up in musical families, you feel like, oh, everybody in that family sings. It's not. It's my opinion that it's not because they were born that way, but more that they were learning habits that either made it successful, more easy to sing, or more difficult. For instance, I grew up in a singing family. My mom came from a singing family, and all 3 of us girls and my mom, though we have widely different interests in different kinds of music, we all have the same vocal problems.
Oh, really?
So this is part of, and I've worked with a lot of and talked to a lot of people that come from a singing family, and when I identify like a vocal problem in a singer, and they understand kind of what's going on, they can go back, they can hear it in the voices of people in their family.
Oh, okay.
So don't buy into the whole we were all born that way, us great singers. Some maybe are. I don't really know, but we'll never be able to prove it probably. So okay. So the elements of a natural balanced voice, a really well balanced trained voice, whether it's trained young or older, are a chest voice. Chest voice is where our power comes from. Do that really nasty. Be a witch. Come on. You know you got it. Yeah. That's in essence that's chest voice. Chest voice is power. Chest voice is edgy. It's almost a little shrill. We all have a different kind of texture to our voices, but chest voices it's the most powerful kind of shrill kind of sound you're going to make, right? And then there's head voice, and head voice is it's H with a teeny bit of tone, right? And it's like, when you see a little baby that's not yours and it's sleeping, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to take them home and they don't wake up, right? When a puppy's sleeping, right?
Yeah.
So head voice is light and high. Chest voice is tends to be a little bit lower, and it's powerful, right? So if we were to sing with chest voice only, what we get is and you feel like you're strangling yourself.
Okay.
Anatomically, you are strangling yourself. That's a whole different video. That'll be up there. So so that's what chest voice does in the singing voice. And if we were to sing all the time with head voice, we get no power, no low notes. So those are 2 ingredients of a well-balanced voice. They are part of the process. But where most people think chest voice is supposed to be on the bottom, and then head voice is supposed to be on the top notes, light and lovely, big and powerful, right? That what they're supposed to do in a balanced voice, what they do is they mix together. So I always like to use the list. I'm a visual person, so let's call chest voice blue and head voice yellow.
Okay. Most
people sing only with yellow or only with blue, or they have blue that goes up to here, and then it flips into yellow. In a mixing balanced voice, what happens is you have blue, teeny little sliver of blue, and then it's blue-green, then it gets greener until it's green in the middle, and then it gets a little bit yellow-green, a little more yellow-green until it's yellow at the top, tiny sliver of yellow. So a well-balanced mixing voice can go all the way back down.
Okay.
And that is trainable.
Oh, okay.
So what's going on in your voice is that you're approaching notes with head voice. Even though you have plenty of chest voice in your speaking voice, You've got plenty of power in your speaking voice, but the way that you're approaching notes, for those two reasons, like I said, fear is a huge driver for all of us, and then not being sure. So you back off. There are two muscle groups that control the vocal cords. It's like a muscle that allows you to do any sport. If the muscles aren't really sure what to do, like anytime I play any sport, and not coordinated and not well trained, not really sure how to do anything, then I'm horrible, and I'm less likely to join in a game of tennis because my husband won't let me because I'm horrible, right? But if I trained, I could learn, I could get my muscle in shape, and I could learn the coordination for that sport, and I could play tennis. He won't even let me do that because he's real competitive. He's really good at tennis, evidently, although I can't show him up because he won't let me. That's another issue. So if you think of it the same way, so singing requires muscles to be trained to let the voice go easily where it needs to go and to have power. And the sport is a particular genre. Gospel is a sport. Pop is a sport. Rock is a sport. So the thing is, a lot of times when you get different schools of vocal training, they'll say that, well, you know, like for instance, if you would do a traditional classical kind of, it's suited to only two sports. That would be classical and Broadway. And that's a whole different topic for another time too. But a well-balanced trained voice can sing all genres. It can play all sports. And this is something no one tells anybody because most people don't know how to get people there. So, gospel. Now, let's get to gospel because I love me some gospel. I know I want to be a big black man. More than anything, my husband will leave me, but sometimes it's worth the risk. I've been married 18 years, so it just depends on the day. So the thing about gospel is that it requires some of that power. It's probably one of the reasons you're drawn to it. You already have soul. I heard in that little sample that you sent me, you got soul, right? And your voice wants to sing, but it's approaching the notes wrong. So it's robbing some of the notes from you, and it's robbing definitely power that you have in your voice. The nice thing about gospel, and the reason that you'll find people in black churches, white or black, that do soul music, gospel music, tend to sing. I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna get flack on YouTube. They sing better than white churches, and the reason is there's actually something going on in the styling in gospel music that puts parts of the voice in balance. So gospel is a wonderful place to start. And with that, you're gonna sing me something gospel-y, aren't you?